Hello and welcome back to Novel Gaming. I'm Doug.
I'm Katie.
We played 2016's Oxenfree from Night School Studios. Oxenfree was originally published independently, but Netflix purchased Night School Studio a few years back, which probably sucks. I don't really know. I just assume that a big company that sucks buying a company also sucks.
Yeah.
But I don't know much about that. I've seen that apparently they didn't get involved in Oxenfree 2. They were just sort of like, do whatever. Do whatever you're doing already. So hopefully they're just sort of like collecting and not interfering.
Yeah. Do your thing.
But that does mean that this is one of those games that if you do still happen to have Netflix, you have access to. You could play it on a phone or a tablet, but it's not a super expensive game.
Yeah. And it goes on sale.
Yeah. Do you have a short description for this or a one-sentence description for this?
Yeah. I think I would describe it as a game about a group of teens who go on their senior skip night excursion.
Yeah.
Where things get freaky and scary.
Yeah, I like incorporating the idea of like the sort of senior trip aspect of it. I feel like it's fun context. I don't know. I don't super know how to describe this in one sentence without being like so vague. So like, it's a narrative-driven psychological horror where your choices matter. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But it's so much more than that. So,
but describing it in one sentence while not wanting to kind of give things away or spoil it, right? Because part of the beauty is finding out stuff.
Exactly.
It.
If you're down to go into a game without knowing anything, this is certainly one of them.
Yeah.
All right, so content, it's a horror game. It's a psychological horror game. There's scary, intense stuff in it. And it is a game where you can't always be confident that what is real and what is, for lack of a better term, like a hallucination. So content, there are depictions of suicide and self-harm. They're as minimally graphic as that can be, but they're not implied. They are shown.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking, I'll say, for me.
It's shocking. Yeah, it is shocking. There are discussions of parental sibling death as well as party member death. There's verbal and emotional abuse. There are optional dialogue featuring like insensitive language about mental health. And there's like the general horror stuff. There are jump scares. There's spooky imagery and atmosphere. There's disorienting and potentially upsetting radio signals and sounds. So it is a horror game.
Yeah,
there are scary things in it, but there are also some very real things in it.
Yeah, some things you might always see, but some things, because it is a narrative choice game, you might not see everything. So some of the things you listed, because I didn't play multiple times, I haven't seen all those. So you might get some stuff, but not everything, unless you're doing a completionist sort of thing.
Yeah. Where to start? Where do you want to start?
I want to start mechanics. I think that's a thing that is typically helpful.
Sure, yes, let's do it.
I mean, you can walk around in this game and explore, and the dialogue at first, I was like, how do I pick what I want? The joystick isn't moving a cursor to the thing. And it took me a little bit to like realize like, I need to hit the button that is corresponding with it. And then also in some of the flipped scenes, I was like, I no longer know what button to press anymore because I don't understand if it'll stay true to what with the quote-unquote non-mirror or
what's left
upside-down
and right.
version. So it was kind of fun, but added an element of like, what do I do? How did you know, like, let me button hit from the start?
That I did know from After Party. So that I think I was just already primed for. I think what Night School calls it is like their walk and talk dialogue. So like characters talk to each other while you're walking. There's no like stop. Well, I shouldn't say no, but there are very few like characters just stopping and talking to each other. Most of the time you can move while talking is happening, which also means that you can like cut off conversations on accident or on purpose. What did you think about that? Or like, did you encounter that in ways that you were sort of like, wait,
yes, I did, but then I ended up like being like, oh well, because I feel like it happened towards the beginning, because in a lot of games when a character is interrupted for whatever reason, they would a couple steps later, the next stream is like, well, as I was saying, and then like launch back into what they were doing. And that didn't always happen. There were also times where I was like, let me press a button and play with this phone as this person's talking to me, and they would keep talking, and then maybe the conversation would just switch to us talking about the phone, and then I'd be like, oops.
Yeah, there were a couple mechanical things that like haven't been ironed out necessarily, and I hope that for Oxenfree 2 they're ironed out. That was one that really bugged me, is like there are times where you can interact with an item that sparks conversation, and then you will just have two overlapping conversations, which can get really confusing and not on purpose. That was frustrating, but I do generally like the walk and talk approach to it. You can choose not to say anything. You can choose to just walk away from people. You can choose to just like go to a different screen, or you can just like stop and wait for the entire conversation to finish, because if you just stop, a lot of the characters will just keep talking until they've like expended everything they have to say.
Yeah.
Or like if you don't go to them, they will continue talking on the screen to be like, Alex, hey Alex, Earth to Alex,
Yeah.
I mean, I can probably guess, because I think you and I tend to approach first playthroughs pretty similarly, but how did you play your Alex?
Yeah, I played Alex as like a curious and overall trying to be kind, and like, even if you're kind of an asshole, I'm still going to care about you, sort of thing. How about you?
Yeah, me too. When I was with people, like, directly in my party, I was usually down to do things, right? So, like, yeah, I'm down to go in the cave. Yeah, I'm down to do this. Yeah, I'm down to, look for this thing or help this person. But, there were certainly times where, like, particularly with Clarissa, where I was willing to be sort of like, Clarissa, shut up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm interested, and we could talk more about like characters and stuff, but the like mechanic of radio and playing with the radio. Yeah.
Obsessed. I love it so much.
Hell yeah.
It's so cool. The fact that like you have this radio with a dial that can like activate certain things that happen in the game, but also just is a radio.
Yeah.
Like, that you can tune and sort of like listen to things with.
Yeah.
And that those things aren't necessarily always the same based on where you are on the island.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And like I got so into it that like there were times where I just would sort of like, I'd be tuning for an action in the game, but then I'd hear something and I'd be like, whoa, wait, I want to hear that. What did they just say? There's so many things in there that are both, of the world of Oxenfree, but also just like from our world.
Yeah.
They've just included clips. It's the coolest shit ever. I love it so much.
What a cool idea. What a cool mechanic.
It just is like truly, I'm in like awe of this game. Like I'm so impressed with what they did.
Yeah. A game for me that I was like, I need to take some breaks. I need to not play this totally late at night before bed.
Oh yeah. Well, I will say it was scarier than I thought it was. I guess I didn't realize it was a horror game going in. Like I figured it had an atmosphere and spooky. Yeah. But I wasn't expecting, some of the jumpy stuff to happen.
Yeah.
Or some of the dark stuff to happen.
Visual, yeah. All of it. Yeah.
Thumb rating, what do you think?
Yeah, thumbs up for me, for sure. I didn't know what to expect going in, ended up really enjoying it, and also genuinely feeling feelings as I was playing it.
Yeah.
It was, and like learning more about it. It's like big brain stuff.
Truly.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I think, I mean, it's no surprise. Thumbs down. No, just kidding. I mean, this is maybe one of my favorite games I've ever played. I mean, it just kept blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And I do think like a lot of it is like very specifically just because it is like tailor made to my interests and some of the weird, wild shit that I like to watch or read or whatever. But I mean, there is literally no other game that I've played 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And feel compelled to continue to play.
Again. Yeah.
Everything about it is like so, for me, like artistically, like
it's
stimulating.
A beautiful game.
Yeah.
Like, it's truly a beautiful game.
Yeah. So massive thumbs up for me. I think I move forward in my life with like a new game on my list of favorite games, which is amazing.
Yay.
And so thank you. I think you were the one who proposed we do this. So I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think you asked our text group if any of us had played it, and I was like, let's see how long it is. And it worked out. So thank you for asking.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thank you everybody for listening, for tuning your radio stations to us. And if you want to hear a longer and more in-depth version of this conversation, feel free to check out our podcast in the description below.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
See ya.
Bye.